In 1944, the Battle of Saipan became one of the key engagements of the Pacific Campaign. This island was of strategic importance to Japan, but the Americans planned to use it as a base for further bombing raids on Japanese cities. The battle began on June 15th and lasted for almost a month. For the first time, American troops faced a large-scale banzai charge, and the fierce fighting for every inch of the island made Saipan one of the bloodiest battlefields of the Pacific War. For us modelers, this is a fascinating topic. The battle involved a wide range of military vehicles, from tanks and artillery to aircraft and amphibious vehicles. Today, we will explore what equipment was used by both sides and what model kits are available for building. But before we begin, an important announcement. I use AI voiceover only because my English skills are not yet strong enough. However, I personally research the information, select the photos and videos, and edit the content myself. So, if you enjoy this content, please support the channel with a subscription and a like. And if you have the desire and, most importantly, the ability, you can also become a sponsor. This will help the channel grow and improve the quality of future videos. Now, let's dive into history. The Pacific War had been going on for nearly 3 years. After the Battle of Midway in 1942, Japan lost the strategic initiative but continued to fight fiercely. Saipan was a critical stronghold in Japan's defensive perimeter, located just 2,500 kilometers from Tokyo. Its airfields allowed control over vast ocean areas. The Americans knew that capturing Saipan would put their B-29 bombers within striking distance of the Japanese homeland. For this operation, the U.S. assembled a massive invasion force, 500 warships, including 15 aircraft carriers, and around 127,000 troops, Marines and infantry. Japan, aware of Saipan's importance, stationed a formidable garrison of 30,000 troops under the command of General Saito and Admiral Nagumo, the same man who led the attack on Pearl Harbor. In the days leading up to the invasion, the U.S. launched intense bombardments, first from the air, then from naval artillery. However, the Japanese had fortified the island with caves and tunnels, so the pre-landing attacks did not completely break their defenses. They waited for the enemy to step onto the beaches, then opened fire. On June 15, 1944, at 7 a.m., the landing began. When American forces landed on the beaches of Saipan on June 15, 1944, they immediately faced brutal resistance. The Japanese were ready. Fortified positions, camouflaged machine guns, minefields. The island had been turned into a fortress, and every inch was fiercely contested. In the opening hours, casualties were staggering. Machine guns tore through the Marines, artillery pounded landing craft, but the Americans didn't back down. They secured a beachhead and began systematically pushing inland. Then came the nightmare. At night, the Japanese launched ferocious counterattacks. Thousands of soldiers charged with cries of "Banzai," willing to die for the emperor. It was horrifyingly effective in sheer brutality. One such charge saw over 4,000 Japanese killed in mere hours. The Japanese made full use of Saipan's terrain. Caves, mountains, tunnels. They disappeared into the rocks, striking from unexpected angles. The Americans responded with flamethrowers and artillery, turning enemy fortifications into rubble. By July 6th, the island was almost completely under the control of the United States Army. On the night of July 6th to 7th, the Japanese garrison, under the command of Lieutenant General Saito, launched a suicidal attack. The Japanese forces broke through the American defensive lines across the entire front. The 1st and 2nd battalions of the 105th Infantry Regiment were nearly wiped out. The Japanese reached the regiment's headquarters, but their momentum eventually faded. In 15 hours of intense fighting, U.S. casualties ranged from 650 to 900 killed and wounded. Japanese losses, as mentioned earlier, numbered in the thousands during such attacks. The U.S. 2nd and 4th Marine Divisions, along with the 27th Infantry Division under the command of Lieutenant General Holland Smith, crushed the Japanese 43rd Division of the Imperial Army, led by Lieutenant General Yoshitsugu Saito. In the final days of the battle, hundreds of Japanese soldiers, unwilling to be taken prisoner by the Americans, committed suicide by leaping from a cliff while shouting "Banzai." This location later became known as Banzai Cliff. The exact number of those who perished remains unknown. Out of approximately 30,000 Japanese soldiers, only 921 were taken prisoner, most of them thanks to the efforts of U.S. Marine Corps Corporal Guy Gabaldon. Familiar with Japanese culture and psychology, Gabaldon persuaded many to surrender, earning him the nickname the Pied Piper of Saipan. A small group of Japanese soldiers, led by Captain Sakai Oba, retreated into the mountains and continued to resist American forces on the island. The 46 remaining members of his unit did not surrender until December 1st, 1945, 3 months after Japan's official capitulation. By July 9th, Saipan had fallen. The loss of Saipan was a devastating blow to Japan's military government, particularly to Prime Minister Hideki Tojo, who was forced to resign. With the capture of Saipan, American forces were now only 1,300 miles from the Japanese mainland. This victory had immense strategic significance in the Pacific War, as it put Japan within the range of US B-29 heavy bombers. For the United States, the island became a critical base for subsequent offensives against the Mariana Islands and the Philippines. Bombers stationed on Saipan launched attacks on the Philippines, the Ryukyu Islands, and Japan itself. From this point on, Saipan served as a key air base for operations against targets throughout the Mariana Archipelago, and for the invasion of the Philippines in October 1944. 4 months after Saipan's capture, more than 100 B-29 bombers from Isley Field on Saipan regularly launched attacks on the Philippines, the Ryukyu Islands, and the Japanese mainland. In response, Japanese aircraft carried out several counterattacks on Saipan and Tinian between November 1944 and January 1945. However, after the U.S. captured Iwo Jima in March 1945, Japanese air raids on Saipan ceased. Admiral Nagumo, who had led the island's defense, committed harakiri. Many civilians, influenced by Japanese propaganda, chose suicide over surrender, throwing themselves from cliffs into the sea. Saipan was a turning point. After its fall, Japan's ultimate defeat became inevitable. The Battle of Saipan is a goldmine for scale model enthusiasts. This battle offers endless creative possibilities, featuring a wide range of military vehicles and aircraft from both sides. Here are some interesting models you might want to check out. LVT-2 by Italeri. An excellent amphibious vehicle. Easy to assemble, making it great for beginners, but also enjoyable for experienced modelers. M4 Sherman and M3 Stuart. Iconic American tanks. Available from many manufacturers in various scales, offering plenty of choices. B-29 Super Fortress by Fujimi, 1/44th scale. The legendary strategic bomber that played a crucial role in the final phase of the war. On the Japanese side, Mitsubishi 2-0 Fighter by Tamiya, 1/48 scale. The famous fighter aircraft, a true symbol of Japan's wartime aviation. Japanese tanks. Many took part in the Battle of Saipan. If you're interested in this topic, check out a dedicated video on my channel. The link is in the description. I also want to highlight dioramas featuring sunken tanks, a fascinating area of scale modeling. Some talented artists recreate underwater scenes with tanks resting on the ocean floor, producing incredibly immersive displays. As you can see, the Battle of Saipan provides endless inspiration for modelers. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you like this format, history plus modeling. Should I make more videos like this? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.